Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. It's time!
All right, Schmoedown fans, welcome to episode number 10. That's an X in Roman numerals of the Schmoedown Rundown. My name is Aaron, your host as always. It is a two-man crew this week. Joining me also, he is the king of ding. It is Paul Wolf.
How we doing?
Doing amazing, doing amazing. Before anyone asks, Frank is not going to be with us this week. Frank is taking a bit of a vacation, so don't go bombard Frank with a bunch of messages as to why he was on the show. He's taking a vacation, simple as that. So hopefully we'll have Frank back very, very soon, and we'll hear those amazing stats that he always brings to the table. So the big hook in this episode, folks, is at some point in the show, you're going to hear an exclusive interview with one Bob Finstock. You're going to hear a large spectrum of this man. He talks about Sasha Pearl Raver. He talks all about Josh Macuga. He has some choice words for Macuga, some for John Roca, even a few for Christian and Mark, which was nice to hear. So just stay tuned for an interview with the enigma that is Bob Finstock. You'll get that a little bit later in the show. Also, not a lot of news this week. About the only big topic was that Ken Knapsack officially challenging Andy Signor, and that match will more than likely go on the schedule. But other than that, not a ton of Schmoedown news going on. So let's just go ahead, Paul. Let's jump in to the team preview. It was Team Wangers versus the Mega Powers of Josh Macuga and Bob Finstock. Paul, take me inside the numbers. What did you think of this match?
Well, I'll do my best to do Frank justice in this one. I looked through this matchup and I saw some really cool things. The first is during the pregame, the promos. I noticed for the first time there was a little bit of there was no pulled down garage behind the interviews at the beginning. There was it looked like a green screen, so that must have been part of the new construction that they're doing at the Collider Video. So
great.
That was awesome to see that with the new logo, the font, all that in the background, the fire. So that was really cool. I loved RB3 just talking shit, just dropping swear words left and right, and really trying to just to show how much of a badass he could be. And he did. I really loved that. And then Finstock, we saw the outcome of Finstock, what happened, but I did notice, since I knew that happened, I went back to rewatch it just to see the subtle hints of things that went by. And he said something in the very beginning of the promos, and he said, "I'm going to prove that we're going to win this match. I'm going to prove we are going to win this match." So I thought that was interesting to end on going into it. And then, of course, the intros themselves after the golden throat of Christian, just really cool. Again, RB3 pulling out the finger. The Back to the Future theme was really, really cool to hear. And then the Mega Powers actually having the hand gestures too with the Wangers. And then, of course, complaining that they came out first was interesting too. I don't know. What did you think of the new pregame with the promos with the background and all that?
I absolutely love it, man. It's just enough new school with the moving background, but just enough old school. Because if you remember those classic WWF promos of like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, that would have like their weird logo behind them, and they would just cut a promo. And I think that's awesome. I think that adds such a it's a little thing, but it adds so much to the presentation of the show. It makes it look way more professional, as for them standing by a fake brick wall or something. I thought that was really awesome. I really enjoyed that. I think it's a great addition.
I do too. And just the fact that you're seeing more entertainment than movie trivia. You think you're seeing a little bit more. It's almost balancing out where it's more entertaining than it is. You're seeing trying to think that if that's the right way to say it. You're seeing more of the characters and the entertainment portion and storyline more than the movie trivia. That seems to me more focusing their time on their character and their interactions and the storylines that are coming out of it, rather than the movie trivia. It's almost movie trivia seems to almost be taking a back seat at this point, and it's because I kind of feel that they know who they are. The characters, they know who they are, and they're just trying to push that and showcase that a lot more because it seems like that seems to be the what's going on in the forefront. So I don't know. What do you think about that a little bit?
Anything character driven is going to hook me. So
Right.
if you have a compelling character, I'm in. So whether it be Bob Finstock and his shenanigans, whether it be John Rocca with the outlaw persona, whether even Mark Riley with the Superman shirt, anybody that has a shtick and does it well, I'm in. It's whether it's Schmoedown, wrestling, UFC, even the movies. Like, one of my favorite movies of all time is Big Trouble in Little China. And why that is Kurt Russell is so batshit crazy over the top. He's such a character in that film, you cannot help but love him. And that's what draws me in, whether it be anything. That's what draws me in immediately is characters. And to see the more characters we get in the Schmoedown and for them to have sort of a, now with the back screen, to have more of a personalized kind of deal going on, it's only going to enhance it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and they're kind of, again, taking the fact from the WWE. They do the same thing. They take the talent, they've got the wrestling ability, and then it's, well, what kind of character can you do? What kind of character can you be using, then enhancing that talent? And I'm seeing a lot more now with everybody coming out in really hammering home everything character-wise and making it a lot more entertaining than it has been in the past. So, all right. So moving on to round one, it was the Wangers going first. I'm sorry. Yes, the Wangers going first, choosing category 1. And so we have, hold on, Finstock missing everything, and Makuga getting all of them. I have an 0 for 3 for Finstock, and 3 for 3 in Makuga's favor. However, all guesses, as he is the master with Philadelphia, Ed Wood, and Home Alone. I don't know how he does it. The box office one was a multiple choice, but still, he got them all. And I'm, again, impressed by that. And that seemed to be round one's theme, was a bunch of guessing. Because if you look over RB3 and Cobster, they pulled that Pinocchio question out of nowhere. And so that was actually a really kind of neat thing, too. And I am noticing a theme with round one. We're almost getting the same categories. I noticed that box office seemed to be the newest round one category, but we always see animated, action, adventure, and some type of movie category like drama in that first round. I'm not sure if that's planned, but I am noticing that a lot more. Have you noticed that too?
Yeah, it seems like it seems to be a little formulaic, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it at this point.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, I'm okay with it. I just have noticed more and more now that I'm really focusing a lot more time into seeing each individual round. I think it's Frank's fault that I'm seeing it more and more that it's the same types of categories. But again, I'm okay with that. I just am noticing that pattern. So we had a 3-2 lead for the Mega Powers. Actually, have on my sheet, I have the names backwards. That's why I'm like re-looking at it. There we go. And so moving into round 2, the Wangers actually went with Tom Cruise and getting 3 out of the 6 for 4 points. Multiple choice on one of them. And then we have the Mega Powers getting Tim Burton, the first spin, which they didn't go with. I would have probably not. I love the Tim Burton's collection, so I would have done all right with there. But then they went with romance, which I thought was very risky. But again, we had Makuga getting 3 of them, and Finstock getting 1 of them for 2 points. So that was our first go around there for Makuga. But he did get a steal earlier. There was 3 attempts at a steal for the Mega Powers, and unfortunately, Makuga got the one, and Finstock didn't get the others. And so even if you look at the romance portion of their categories, Makuga, again, getting 3, Finstock getting 1, but then missing 2 others. And they all went multiple choice except for Louis Gossett Jr. And then you get my favorite quote so far of the match from Ken. I almost forgot what success looks like. It was a pulling teeth type of match at the point. After round 2, it was 6-8. Took a long time to get to 10 points, as Christian said, so that was interesting there. And then we get to round 3. Wangers pull it out, getting all 3. They picked 5, 15, and 20. RB3 got animated, got that one. Cobster got Star Wars, got that one for 3 points. And then Ben Affleck, and they got that big old guess there with Paycheck to get all the points of that round. And then you have for Mega Powers, that last round, 16, 17, and 18 were their choices. Finstock got the 1 with Backdraft, and then Makuga didn't get 17, but then flipped his lid when he got the 5th element, and there you have it. There was the match. And what did you think overall?
Let me tell you this. I'm going to hear the words multiple choice and can you repeat that question in my nightmares. There was a point where, and I was with Makuga on this, where Cobster said, can you read that question one more time? And he's like, listen to the damn question. Like, I did the same thing. I was like, dude, if you say it one more time, like, I'm closing this laptop right now. Like, I get it. Like, you're trying to get a little bit more time. You're trying to dig it out. And at first glance, as you heard my outburst there, you would think that I hated this match. But honestly, I didn't, because in all honesty, it was a chess match game. Yeah, it was slow-paced. Yeah, they missed a lot of questions. But they played the game the way it's supposed to be played. If you need to get multiple choice, you do so. And you just kind of build upon your points. Finstock, with that Louis Gossett Jr. answer, in my opinion, turned the match. If they don't get that, they lose. It's not even a question. Bob Finstock coming through in the clutch, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts.
Yeah, and digging deeper into that, because there was a bunch of questions on who answered what post-match. Finstock only getting 2 questions right out of the 9 potential questions he could have gotten right, where Makuga got 8 out of his potential 9 questions right, at an 88% to a 22%. But Makuga had 5 guesses, the way that his reactions were. But still, 8 versus 2. But you just pointed that out, that Finstock, without that 1-2 point question they got during that second round, they wouldn't have won.
No, not at all.
No.
And it's interesting because the Wanger team was one of those teams I kind of thought may sneak up there with RB3. No, and this is not like a slam on Cobster. He's a fine competitor, but it seems like RB3 is the strength of that team. I don't think anybody would argue that. But I just kind of, I don't know, I guess I was expecting more out of the Wangers. And for them to be ranked number 10, I would say they're probably not even going to be ranked the next time it comes around, and that's unfortunate. And we know that the Mega Powers will not be ranked anymore either, but that's for a different reason that I'm sure we'll get to in a minute.
Absolutely. And I honestly think the reason why, I think the Wangers, I think there might be too much on their plate. With Cobster being the producer now of the Schmo Show, he's doing a lot backstage that not a lot of people know he's really doing. And then you've got RB3 going to school for film. He's doing a lot also in the background. So I think this might not have even been 4th or 5th on their list. They just, they show up and there you are, And so I have a feeling with being so busy, that might have really gotten their downfall. And then, of course, let's move right into it.
Let's do it.
Post-match interview. You first saw it at the end when Makuga got that last question. You saw him, freaking out, and he was about to walk off too with Finstock, and you watch Finstock leave, and then you see, handshakes and congratulatory moments with Makuga, and then we see the heel turn, the turning the back on, the team of the Mega Powers. It seems that Finstock wanted to be on his own. He wanted to be, what did he quoted as saying? He wanted to be his own man. The styles were too close to each other that we get a little further into in our interview. And then he says, I did what I needed to do today. Honestly, when I heard that, and going back, he did. He got that Louis Gossett Jr. question. He got that one thing that pushed it over the edge. However, they're done. The Mega Powers are done. And I know that Ken Napzok said, he feels like it's almost like the leading into WrestleMania 5. In my wrestling background, knowing the history of heel turns, I feel that this isn't more of the Mega Powers exploding in Hogan and Savage. I'm seeing it as more of Rick Martel turning his back on Tito Santana with Strikeforce, and I say that first because that killed me as a kid. That was my favorite tag team growing up, and seeing that happen, and I kind of feel that this is almost the same way because I think Finstock needs this change because of how many new characters there are in the league, and I think he was feeling that he was slowly fading into the background, mid card or even dark match level, where he needed something to bring himself out into that forefront. And just like Rick Martel, he turned into the model Rick Martel, became his own man, and did his own thing with, eventually getting to the blindfold match with Jake the Snake Roberts and seeing that portion of it. However, but seeing where that progression went with Rick Martel, I kind of see that's kind of where I think Finstock might be going, because I do feel he needed this kind of a change. However, his reasons might not be the reasons, but then contradicting that, it's Finstock. His reasons are his reasons. So, again, shocking to see, and I don't know. What was your thoughts when you saw that?
Confusion. I was very confused because, the Mega Powers back on track. They won the match. Had they lost the match, I guess I kind of would have had a different feeling because they would be 0-2. But they won the match, and they didn't look necessarily terrible. So it was very confusing, especially calling Josh Makuga a loser, which doesn't make sense to me, as Makuga's been quite a strong player in the Schmoedown. So after talking with Finstock, which you will hear in a minute, I kind of have a better understanding of where his headspace was and why he did it, but I still don't understand it, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with why he decided to do his own thing. I think the Mega Powers could have been right in that, not necessarily top contenders, but they could have been in that top 5. And I'm very confused. I feel kind of bad for Makuga, but maybe this is a blessing in disguise for him. Perhaps he had alluded to in the interview that maybe it'll be team TV talk, and I would love to see either David Griffin get in there or Sasha Pearl Reaver. I think they would be both strong competitors and a great mesh up with Josh Makuga. So I'm sad that the Mega Powers are no more, but at the same time, I'm actually kind of excited to see who comes in with the wild man Josh Makuga to form a new team, and B, to see where this new version of Finstock goes. Where does it go from here? So if anything else in this match, if you found this match to be boring or slow or whatever and you weren't into it, you have to leave thinking that you're going to get something special down the road, and that's what it's all about for me. So I'm into it.
Yeah, and if you don't like a man quoting and referencing his T-shirt that says Operation Dumbo Drop, I don't think the Schmoedown's for you.
Where did he get that shirt?
It looked like homemade to me. It looked like somebody made it for him. But I thought it was pretty. That was a kind of a cool thing. Now, here's what I'm going to do. If you remember a while back, the decision, the Schmoes No show.
Of course.
Makuga had something written on his leg. If you remember that, for some reason, I don't know what it was, because he didn't reveal it because of teaming up with Finstock and the announcements there. I know that he referenced it, but I wonder if that either had to do with the name or something other than Finstock being his partner. So I would love to know if that might come back up again. And I would love to see a David Griffin for TV talk or a Sasha to team up with him. And I feel like I'm more excited to see who's going to team up with Makuga than Finstock at this point.
Sure, I think that makes definite sense. I think at this point, I don't think Finstock wants a team. I think Finstock is his own man. I don't think Finstock needs nor wants a team at this point.
At this point, again, I don't see anybody that would want to take on that personality to be a teammate, to rely on somebody that guesses and gets them wrong, and again, getting 22% of their questions, at least on this match. And, just I don't see him as a strong partner. I mean, he's been with JTE, and as you can see, they broke up. JTE is now with a new partner, and they're in the championship match at the Spectacular. And now you've got a second failed team matchup. So I'm wondering if it's really Finstock that's the problem.
At this point, it's hard to say. It's hard to not think that he is the problem. Honestly, he gets the Louis Gossett Jr. question. If he doesn't get that, he doesn't help the team at all. So
absolutely
interesting parallel there. But I think I don't know. I'm just super intrigued by the Finstock character at this point. I just can't help it. I know I shouldn't be. I know at this point I should be like, this dude isn't winning anything, but I cannot help but be enamored by this guy. I don't know what it is.
All this does is fuel our speculation, and it'll keep us watching and waiting for more.
Definitely, folks. And let's not wait on it any longer. We're going to get to that interview with Bob Finstock. You're going to hear it right now. All right, Schmoedown fans, I am here with a controversial figure from this week. Let's not bury it anymore. He is the man, the myth, the legend, Bob Finstock. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate being here. You guys are good people, and I got to get the word out here of what is going on in this scenario.
Yeah, I definitely think we need to get some truth going, because I mean, as we all saw this past week on the Schmoedown, you and your partner at the time, Josh Makuga, the Mega Powers, victorious over the Team Wangers. Victorious. You didn't lose the match.
Yeah, we did win.
Yeah, you did. But after was where the controversy boiled, because
right,
Josh stayed around, shook some hands, kissed some babies, but you were already gone, and then you came late to the interview, and you basically said to Josh, "Hey, man, you're a loser. I'm moving on. Check out the Operation Dumbo drop shirt. Get a hint." I guess my first question, and I guess the question that we all have is why?
Because he displays something called LB,
okay,
loser behavior. Okay, he has become a loser behavior specialist, and I try to distance myself from specialists that I guess promote loser behavior. And what happened was, obviously the styles were really close together, and I felt like we were too close. It was too similar on so many different levels. I'm talking like chest definition. I'm talking like drinking, chicks, getting chicks in the street, all kinds of things. It was too close. It was too much. We were morphing into one person. Bob Finstock stands alone.
Okay, so it's like basically looking at yourself in the mirror, and you're one man.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let me ask you this, and I'm sorry to cut you off there, but let me ask you this: you and JTE Team Box Office Breakdown, that had a literal breakdown, and you guys went your separate ways.
Yeah,
and you obviously could have felt a little bit, kind of felt a little bit down because JTE is your boy.
Yeah, I was slighted by that for sure.
Yeah. So my question is, if you felt slighted, how do you think that Josh Makuga feels, or do you just not care?
At this point, I don't care. I think Makuga's a great guy, like I said, but as for a partner in the Schmoedown and going forward, I just don't. I want gold, all right, and I know I'm not going to get it with him.
Okay, fair.
It's what it came down to. I need to have more weight on me, not body wise, just like accessory wise.
Fair point. But is it something? What do I want to say here? Is it a decision that had been coming for a long time, or was it? Just kind of like once the announcement was that you're going to play Team Wangers, was it just, okay, we're going to do this?
Yeah, it was.
Or was it something that had been building up?
It was.
Was it just kind of like once the announcement was that you're going to play Team Wangers, was it just, I'm not going to do this anymore, or was it just kind of an overnight rash? I'm just not going to be this guy's partner anymore. How take me through that?
Yeah, I decided pretty much on the spot. I make up life as it goes along. It's style points is everything to me. It's one size fits Finstock. And what happened was it got to a point where, like I said, the similar styles, and I'm like, you know what? We're playing the Wangers, who are both pretty much imbeciles on every level, except like real life. But anything Schmo related, they have no business being in the corner or playing me in any game. I mean, clearly Cobster knew nothing, and RB3 was guessing as well, but the guesses were wrong. Did I do fantastic in trivia? No, I've never said to be I've never claimed to be, fantastic at trivia. I win in real things, which are life and like the streets. That's where I win.
And apparently Lou Gossett Jr. movies as well.
Yes, that, I knew that was going to happen. And I was like, look, if anything, Officer and a Gentleman comes up, I'm in. And sure enough, that's what happened. And, boom. Or Richard Gere movies or whatever, I should have answered a couple of more questions, though.
Well said. But I got to go back to one of your statements, though, because you did, you called him, you've called him dumb, you've called him a loser, but Makuga has had victories, though. He won in the Schmoedown tournament. He beat Clark Wolf. He's had some great matchups. Do you honestly think that Makuga is a loser in the sense of Schmoedown, or how is he a loser, I guess?
Look, it's the old saying, like you could win in certain things and you lose overall. Like, look, I might lose a war, the battle every once in a while, but I drop nuclear bombs and end wars. That's what I do. I don't think he has that potential. He's just never going to have the gold around his waist, and I can't deal with that.
Okay, makes sense. So what is your thought process now? Are you looking for singles gold? Are you looking for tag gold? Do you not care what gold it is? Are you tell me your process there.
The bottom line is, I don't know if I can beat these, beasts like Bibiani and Belinsky or whatever his name is and those other guys. But, I'm going to surround myself with people who can win. Like Roca, the only bigger loser than Josh Makuga is Roca. He's the biggest loser. Like, he might have fought in the war or whatever, but like I said, I've been in the war, the streets, the real war. So, I don't like Roca's attitude, and I don't like his stable either. I think they're a bunch of phonies. But look, the knives are out. Now it's a question whether or not they can mortally wound me. We'll see.
Right on. Paul, do you have something for him?
You know what? Yeah. Hey, this is Paul Wolf, by the way. Nice to meet you again, Mr. Finstock. I'm just kind of trying to listen to you about all of this kind of processing what you guys have been talking about so far. So at this point in your team experience, you've now gone through two different partners. GTE now with having a world title match now with his new partner being on Team Patriots, and now with kind of the fan following that Makuga's got. Do you feel that there might be, instead of you keep calling even Roca a loser, and you're kind of using that word a lot, is there some professional jealousy with how popular they are with our Schmovillians out there, or what is the motivation behind all of this anger towards them?
No, Bob Finstock stands alone. Look, those guys, I bark with the big dogs. Those guys piss with the puppies. Okay, that's what they're doing. And that's what they're going to completely. They're going to do that constantly. Roca, he might have a title here and there. He gets lucky here and there. He's got his little beef with Mance and all these other things going on. But look, those guys, they want, in a battle of wits, I've already beat those guys. It's easy. I walk into a room, those guys are done already. They could beat me in trivia. They may know who starred in like Morning Glory or whatever like that. But like I said, I know what goes on in the real streets. But as for jealousy, no. Jealousy is a female trait, and I am definitely not a chick.
All right. Well, the follow-up on that one is that you're being your own man, saying that you're on your own, and you don't know if you're going to go singles or team. With all of this being out there now, who in the right mind would want to team up with somebody that wants to be on their own? So are you looking more singles now, or are you seriously looking for a partner that could kind of handle you in a way?
I mean, look, I think ultimately, and I'm going to stand alone. I got to play Levine next week or something like that. I mean, I like Sam. I just I've already beat him in real life because I beat him out on a couple of acting gigs and stuff like that, and it was what it was. But he might, he's winning in acting and everything like that, but he's gonna lose in trivia as well. So he's not a loser per se, but he could get there.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Now, Finstock, you are a sports guy. Is that fair to say?
Oh, big time. If anything sports comes up, I win. I'm actually going to go on Sports Jeopardy really soon.
Okay, that's awesome. I'll definitely check. I'll check my local listings for that.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's take two big time players. Let's go with this comparison. You've got Kevin Durant and you've got Russell Westbrook.
Right.
Now, obviously, Kevin Durant now with the Warriors is doing quite a bit better than Russell Westbrook now in OKC.
Sure.
Does that ever play in the back of your mind since this decision? Do you think, oh man, I could be Kevin Durant and be on top of the world, or I could be Russell Westbrook at the bottom trying to throw oops to Victor Oladipo? Like, does that ever cross your mind?
Well, look, here's what I think about that. It's a good analogy. With JTE, we were underdogs. Nobody knew we were going to go to the championship. He caught fire. I make people better when I'm around them. That's what winners do. That's what Michael Jordan did. That's what, who else? Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. Like, I elevate people's games. That's the reason why Makuga got those questions, because he was sitting next to me. So same thing with JTE. And he had this big fall for this fall from grace when he looked like a championship contender, and now he's like the joke of the league, in singles matches. But I think whoever I team up with, if I team up with somebody, it's going to be somebody who definitely can win, or maybe even currently has a championship belt or two.
Okay. So basically, you just compared yourself to Michael Jordan. Is that correct?
Yeah. I was going to say Jesus, but we were talking sports.
You could be Jesus Shuttlesworth if we're talking he got game.
That's true. That's true.
But
Played by Ray Allen.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I'm the type of guy who, leaves, would leave his house at 7 years old, and his mom will mom would ask me, "Where are you going?" I'd be like, "Don't worry about it, Ma." That's the kind of guy I am.
Now, do you already have somebody in mind? I mean, obviously, you don't have to tell us here. You can keep that close to the vest. But are you already scouting prospects, if you will, while we're on the sports analogies? Are you looking around, playing the field, seeing who kind of fits your style?
Yeah, I definitely am. I really wish like Natasha or Sinead or Ashley were good at trivia, but they're not.
But you could make them better.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just give me, I hung around with them all Comic-Con. They understand who Bob Finstock is. I got them into big parties. They know that. I wish they were better at trivia, but they're not. They're like really bad at trivia. So, and Roka, Natasha seems to be in Roka's stable for some reason. That's going to change.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, right currently in singles, you're the number 9 ranked contender. Do you find that to be insulting given your spoken skill set, or are you okay with that? You're okay with being the underdog?
Well, I've been the underdog my whole life, and then I surprise people and be like, how does this guy do this? Look, it's all about a little less history and a lot more mystery. Okay? That's the essence of what Bob Finstock delivers. Now, me being the 9th rated, look, can I beat Bibiani or, whatever that guy's name is? Probably not. I mean, I don't sit in like my house and watch movies 24/7. My life is a movie, pretty much. So if they ask me questions about my life, then yes, I would win the Schmoedown Championship.
Okay, I have to talk to Chris Skaliski about putting that in the questions, some Bob Finstock questions. I think that would be fine.
Oh, that would be great.
Do you ever see yourself? I know that you said you would take Josh Makuga on one-on-one, or I'm
that
sorry,
wouldn't even be a match.
really? Okay.
So he'd be so shook. Like, I don't think he'd be able to handle it. Like, look, it would be probably a knockout.
Wow.
Mhm.
I don't even know what to say to that. So
I would like to play him in a specialized match,
okay.
which would be like, certain movies and real specific things. Because I'm a very specific guy.
So like a sports Schmoedown or something like that?
Sports, like Beverly Hills Cop and, Bad Boys and like things like that on the wheel would be a very interesting match. But if we're sitting there and we both land on Pixar, we're going to have a fucking snooze fest. You know what I mean? It's stupid. I refuse to play with Pixar on the wheel ever again.
Seems like it's always the first question every single time.
It really is that on the animation. I'm like, what the fuck?
You know what?
In the animation, it just doesn't work.
I have noticed that round one is always the first one or two questions is always animated, almost guaranteed. It's very interesting to see that's been the case. So all right, so I just wanted to jump in here too. Is so you said Beverly Hills Cop, Bad Boys. What are some other strengths that you would like to see that might not be on the wheel now that you'd want to see that could maybe bolster some more points for you to give yourself more of a showing out there?
Look, I mean, the wheel is clearly geared towards fanboys. There's no question about that.
I agree.
It's Star Wars, it's DC, Marvel, and all these other things. I can't do this stuff. Like, that's not me. Yes, I could, quote 89 Batman and whatever. But, you give me something like how many stones are in some stupid rock in Iron Man's chest or whatever. I have no idea. I have no idea what this is. Like these Uber stones or whatever they're called. I don't even know. See, that being said, it's, I like sports, boogie nights, comedies, 80s, 70s. But I never seem to get these questions, and I think it's fixed. Like, I think everything is stacked up against Bob Finstock. But the thing is, they keep stacking the odds against me, but I keep winning. So that's the problem.
Do you think that for some reason, for whatever reason, that the Schmoedown and maybe even the people that run the Schmoedown have an issue with Bob Finstock being at the top and they're trying to maybe keep you down? Do you feel that way?
Absolutely. I think Christian he's just mind melded over it. He just doesn't know what to think about it. I think there's other powers that be over there that are definitely trying to keep Bob Finstock from, getting the glory he deserves. The glory I deserve, actually.
Makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed something
Mark
a little
Ellis,
bit.
I think it's Mark Ellis,
Okay.
Ken Knapsack. Then there's other behind the scenes guys that don't want Finstock on top because they won't know how to deal with it. Because I'll take over the whole show.
Very, very interesting. Almost a conspiracy theory, if you will, to keep Bob Finstock down.
Big time.
Do you think they're just afraid that if Bob Finstock is the face of the company and they're not the face of the company anymore, that isn't going to work? Or how do you feel about that?
If that happened to come to fruition, then, we'd go global. Like, it'll be a global phenomenon. But I think ultimately they don't want that to happen. It's almost like Trump being elected president. Nobody wants it, but they're going to see a couple of things change in this world. Not saying I voted for him because I didn't, but I'm equating it to that. It'll be complete lunacy if I was the president of the United States, clearly, and not just like the president of Schmoes, which I should be, but I'm not.
It sounds to me like a Bob Finstock presidency would be pretty fun, actually.
I
That's
wish.
my opinion.
I wish.
Now, I want to get to a couple more things. Now, so after her match, Sasha Pearl Raver challenged you to a Schmoedown and said that basically she would make you her bitch. Now, how do you feel about that? Is Sasha somebody you would take on? Are you...
Look, let me say something about her. she doesn't even deserve the middle name Pearl, okay? Because a pearl is sand that is gradually forced together to create a pearl. She's more like a grain of sand than a pearl. Get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
She is Sasha Grain of Sand Raver. But also, she has a lot of feministic views, okay? And the problem is, I don't think she's a real feminist because, one, she wears a bra. Two, she doesn't do the protests on the streets. And I know that because I go there to watch girls without bras on.
All right. So you're calling out Sasha for not being a feminist.
Yeah.
All right. Let me okay, we'll check
She's
that box.
She's fly-by-night feminist.
Oh my. Oh man. Sound bites galore in this interview. Okay.
So are you flat out not accepting her challenge, or down the road do you think in 2017 we'll see that matchup?
Look, who did she play? Karen Wagner or whatever.
Kara Warner.
Yeah, her. That girl was a dope. She knew nothing. She's a nice girl in real life, but obviously she had no business being on under the lights. Now Sasha is okay. She's totally beatable though. She gets really scared in my presence. I've already beat her as well.
Wow. What do you say to? Okay, let's do a little role play action here. Let's say that I am Sam Levine.
Okay.
What do you say to me for your upcoming match? How are you going to intimidate me if I am Sam Levine?
I'll say, bottom line, you're a loser. And I think if you keep continuously calling somebody a loser, sooner or later they're going to believe it. And they'll show their true loser colors, aka, loser behavior. Or loser behavior specialists, which John Roca and Makuga are really full steam ahead, neck and neck.
Now I hear John Roca's name coming up a lot as well. Is he someone that you could see yourself going up against down the road?
I'll never. I don't even like being in the same room with that guy.
Why is that?
It's too loud. It's too much.
And Bob Finstock stands alone, as we know.
Right, exactly. Right. The eagle has landed and the fat man walks alone.
All right, as we wind this down, Mr. Finstock, I have to know, I feel like this is just an out-of-the-blue change for you. This is a complete character shift. I feel like you went from unknown and kind of we don't know who Finstock is to kind of sort of fan favorite to now you're kind of back on the heel side.
Right.
What I'm trying to figure out is who is the real Bob Finstock? Is it now or was it then? I'm trying to figure this out. I can't figure it out.
That's a good question. I felt being a good guy started to interfere with my sexual magnetism. And I just didn't feel super duper confident about who I was. So once I made this decision, I was just hanging out looking in the mirror, and I'm like, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the biggest loser of them all? And I was like, that's a pretty tough one because there's a bunch of them out there. But it wasn't me, that's for sure.
Absolutely not. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the enigma known only as Bob Finstock. Sir, we thank you for your time. I think you've answered a lot of questions that we had. If there's anything else you would like to say to any of the Schmoedown listeners or people in Schmoeville, feel free to say it, and the floor is yours, sir.
You know what? It's very interesting. I don't hate anybody, really. I just call them on their faults. Genuinely, I'm a nice guy until somebody rubbed me the wrong way. But I'm like Reggie Jackson in the 1977 World Series. I vaporize home runs into the black seats in Yankee Stadium. I'm the straw that stirs the drink. Until people start to realize that and take me for what I'm worth. Now, a lot of people in real life and in just the Schmoeland, don't want to hear the truth. And the truth genuinely hurts. I mean, that's why I have to lie a lot, because nobody wants to hear the truth. But my lies are hidden by truth, and the truth are hidden by lies. Now, if winners win all the time, then there would be no such thing as a loser. But there is losers, and there's a bunch of them in the vicinity of the Schmoedown.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
The enigma known as Bob Finstock. You can catch him next week taking on Sam Levine, and I am definitely looking forward to this new look Finstock. He's looking like he's lean, he's mean, he's ready to take everybody down, and nobody's going to stand in his way. He's lone wolf in it now. Sir, I appreciate you taking the time, and best of luck to you.
Hey, my pleasure, guys. Enjoy. Like I said, I'm going to go do some fun stuff now, and I mean, I won't go to Walmart, though. Or I might just tape these fools buying stupid things. It's unbelievable what they're doing out there. These animals over there at Walmart.
Or perhaps go find a protest of women with no bras on.
But Sasha Pearl Raver won't be there.
Well, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Finstock. All right, guys, you heard it. You heard Bob Finstock. I don't know what to say after an interview like that. It ran the full spectrum of anything you could imagine with this guy. We took a trip into the mind of Bob Finstock, and we both survived. I don't know how we did it, to be honest with you. I have no clue how we survived that, but a lot of good information in there. Paul, what did you think of Finstock?
Well, I'm all about the documentation and all about, pulling out different phrases and things. And what I heard was loser behavioral specialist and one size fits Finstock. Guys, Schmoeville, if that's not a shirt waiting to happen, I'll tell you what, it should be. And the other side of things is this, going back to the WWE, if people become heel, sometimes their merchandise kind of dwindles. I would love to see the numbers on, with this now heel turn, will his merchandise go up? Or will it go stagnant, or will it just start going down because of this? I'm not sure what Schmoeville's thinking about it, but now that we've heard all of that, and this is just kind of like Inception, Finstock inside a Finstock inside of a Finstock. So we don't know. I mean, he's everywhere and then nowhere at the same time. It's just unbelievable stuff that we heard. You heard it, guys. I mean, you heard Roka's name. You heard Levine's name, and he contradicted himself on Levine. He said he wasn't a loser, and then he said he was one. So, I mean, then he didn't really say anything about Sasha. I mean, the challenge was out there, and he's only focusing on the fact that if there were questions based on his life and real world situations, that he would win. However, this is movie trivia, and you heard him. He even said it. He's not good at movie trivia. So, to quote a really good favorite movie of mine is, "What is it that you do here?" That's all I got to say about that.
Nice.
That's all I got to say about that. So, I mean, yeah, he's a great character. It was an awesome experience to hear from him and actually talk to him. But again, I mean, he's saying a lot, but words versus action. You got, there's a difference between that. So you just got to wonder what's going on next.
Guys, if I'm being 100% honest, which I want to be with this audience, I couldn't even put into the show what he said off air. So just be thankful that you didn't hear the unedited version of Bob Finstock, because that's a journey I don't know if anybody wants to go on. So just take my word for it. You're not prepared to hear Bob Finstock uncensored. You're not prepared for that. But like you said, Paul, we had a great time talking to him. It was a lot of fun, definitely very interesting. And definitely tweet at Bob Finstock and tell him what you thought of the interview, and we'll see what he has to say in the future. But let's jump into it. Let's jump into the second preview. It is the singles matchup this week. It is Matt Nost, one half of the Schmoedown Tag Team Champions, versus newcomer Drew McWeeny. Paul, Take me inside the numbers. What'd you think?
All right. Well, you know what? I thought it was a great showing for the very first outing for McWeeny. Again, same as the other matchup, the new background still pops. Love to see that. They had the Schmoedown Spectacular plug with the logo that was put on screen. It was awesome to see. And then we got right into the match itself with the intros, having Nost be there with Roca accompanying him. And then McWeeny coming out, no real fanfare, just kind of walked in, saluted, sat down. And you'll see that as the match progresses. You'll see no fanfare, it's like just the facts, ma'am. It was just seriously just like Sergeant Friday. It was really like McWeeny didn't have a character yet. And like we mentioned earlier, McWeeny basically, he's got the talent, he's got the knowledge, he just needs a character. And so that was the only gripe I had on him at the end, was he came off as just meh, personality-wise. Intelligence-wise, off the chart. He was awesome. He did a really nice job. So going into the actual details with round one, we ended up with a 5-2 count at the end, with McWeeny getting 5 out of 6, missing the box office question. Believe it had to do with what year a movie came out. And then we had Nost, the poor man's Chris Hardwick, crapping the bed with the first round. With 4 out of the 6 missed questions. He got action, adventure, and box office at the end. But the first 4, just kind of, he literally just said, I don't know. Which is actually very kind of, it's nice and honest to hear that, not somebody just trying to be silly, like you've heard in the past, Schnepp doing Shrimple McShrimpleton, or being silly, I know. Or Finstock just spouting off a random movie out of the blue. But he at least honestly said, I don't know. He didn't try to make a joke of it. He just went on with the next questions. So we had 5-2 at the end of round 1. And so round 2, the wheel was spun. Makuga got 70s, which to me I thought was a new category. And then I noticed something also. The camera. Again, you said little differences make things a lot better and stand out. They had a close-up on the wheel itself,
right,
which
exactly.
I really, really liked, because I, too, would love to see all of the other categories, too. So adding that extra camera angle, awesome. So he said no to 70s, but then he got Westerns. Westerns again. It seems seems to be everybody's Achilles heel. However, with the help of multiple choice, Nost got 2, and then he actually got a 2-point question. The third question, he got 2 points, but then missed. So he got 3 out of 4 with help from 2 multiple choices, and so that's pretty good. But then McWeeny stole that one that he didn't get. So that was a bummer on that one. And so we had 4 points there for Nost, giving him 6 total after round 2 on his end. Then with McWeeny, his first spin was opponent's choice. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Once you spin the first time, you're allowed a second spin. Is the rule, if it's the first spin of opponent's choice, you have to stick with that? Is that a rule?
To be honest with you, I'm not 100% for sure. I will have to check with Christian on that. Yeah,
check with Christian, or if anybody from Schmoeville wants to yell at me and say that I'm wrong, feel free. I don't care. I just asked that question myself, because if that's the rule, is if you don't like your first spin, you can spin again, then I think he should have spun again if that's the case. But if the rule is, if it's opponent's choice, and if that's opponent's choice, then you have to stick with it, okay, so be it. Nost chooses movie release dates, where Nost gets 2 out of the 4 questions, but the 2 he got were 2 points. The other 2, he did hit 1 multiple choice, and he just missed out on that last one flat out, and no steals were taken on Nost's side. So in that area, I kind of think that Nost went with what he thought McWeeny didn't know, and not opposed to like, well, maybe I'll choose that category because I know that category too. So I don't know if there was a strategy in it going on in there, but that to me, if I was playing, I'd try to pick a category that I know he might not know, but I know pretty well in that one. So he chose movie release dates. Unfortunately, no steals occurred in that one, so it kind of bit him. And so at the end of round 2, we had an 11-6 matchup, and then round 3. Round 3 came in with. Nose did get 2 out of the 3. He got the 1 and the 5 questions. He had 6 points there, 12 points total at the end. He was able to get sports and rom-com, but did not get the Angelina Jolie question. And then McWeeny in the 3rd round hit movie release dates and Jennifer Lawrence, because honestly, I kind of have not a big issue with the Jennifer Lawrence question, because David O. Russell could be the answer for anything. Anytime they work together, they're gold. So
they do collab a lot.
You obviously, that's the answer to everything, really. But then movie release dates, the Toy Story question, I hit as well, just because I was at a movie theater, and then he talked about that post game, working in movie theaters. Really definitely helped. I worked at one from 96 to 2002, so I saw the gamut of a lot of stuff, and that like I said, background is definitely something that helps along the way. So we have no question for the 5 point on the McWeeny side. We're getting a 15-12 victory. I have notes down here. I think I mentioned it earlier. McWeeny, he just needs a character. I think coming in bland as this, it was a good showing for him with answering the questions. And I kind of, the wrestler, I always go back because it's always about wrestling to me. I go back to looking at what Kurt Angle was before he was the Olympic gold medalist in the 3 Eyes. He was a boring wrestler that people during dark matches would be chanting boring, because all it would be technical wrestling and an Angle slam and a victory. There was nothing. It was vanilla. It was just bleh. If you add a character to him, like Bibiani came out full force. If you came out with a character, I think he'd be a little bit more entertaining. I think more people would hook onto him more. So if that was the only thing I could pull out of that, I think that would be perfect for him to do, because he says he smells blood and he wants more. And so I would love to see a McWeeny Bibiani or a McWeeny and Draco match. Heck, I'd even see McWeeny join the 4 Horsemen. I mean, he would be a great person to add into that match, or into that team. But we, on Nost's side, post-match, we heard more Christian ribbing with Nost. So, I mean, he's 0-2. Christian probably smells blood too. If he can get past Makuga in the singles, you've got a Nost Christian match you'll definitely see in 2017. We just have to wait to see. What are your thoughts on the overall match?
I think the thing that sticks out most to me is Matt Nost, because I want Matt Nost to do well in the singles. Obviously, he's a tag team champion with John Roca, and it seems like in those matches, he more or less answers his fair share. So it's very confusing to me how, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Drew McWeeny. It was a great debut for him, but if you're Matt Nost, that's 2 in a row. You've lost to Elliot Dewberry, and now you've lost to a debuting Drew McWeeny. How could anyone be afraid of you? How could Christian be shaking in his boots, if you will, if you're 0-2? Like, what's in it for Christian to take on Matt Nost? It's like a fart in the wind at this point. It doesn't matter. So I'm a little disappointed in Matt Nost. I'm still a fan, but that stuck out to me like a sore thumb. My thoughts on Drew McWeeny's debut. Christian touted this guy as like, hey, this is a guy you need to look out for. Yes, and I think, and this is a me problem, this isn't a McWeeny problem, when you see the Bibiani and Draco match, I think I'm still drunk on that match, like it's so incredible, and you saw those 2 guys debut, I was expecting Drew McWeeny to come out there and just whoop ass and score 21 points or something like that. So for him to, let's say, soundly defeat Matt Nost, like he left no doubt that he had beaten him, I thought it was okay. I think, like you said, add a character to him, and and strap the rocket on him, and we'll see where it goes. But just overall, the match, it was fine. It was a fine matchup. It wasn't anything overly exciting. We didn't have a lot of drama, so I'm okay with it, I guess I could say.
Yeah, I kind of equate him. Now, it's not a knock on him at all, but I think he's the Bart Gunn to Roka's Billy Gunn. I think again, Bart Gunn was talented. He was serviced well, but singles-wise didn't do so hot. Team-wise, he was fine. I kind of think that Nost might be that in that realm. And again, I'm with you. I want him to do my son, by the way. Sorry. I want him to do well in the singles as well, and it kind of bummed me out. But again, McWeeny went in and tore it up. It's just that first round that Nost just kind of fell apart for him. That's where he lost it.
I go back to something Christian said. Now that you threw your wrestling reference on there, let me throw in mine. When we interviewed him, he had called Matt Nost the Jannetty, the Marty Jannetty of that tag team, with John Roca being Shawn Michaels. And I mean, so far through 2 matches, Matt Nost is Marty Jannetty so far. So I want to see him bounce back. I don't know who he's got next. Christian has Makuga, so maybe after that they could hook up. But I want to see Matt Nost win at least once before he takes on Christian, so it could be more of a compelling matchup.
Agreed. I mean, I do to bring up get the hype going and see it where it goes from here. I just. Yeah, I do. I see I wanted to go with something else because we always do rely on the Jannetty and Michaels reference. So I just kind of went with the Bart Gunn one just to change it up a bit. But I totally see where that's coming from.
Yeah, I gotta throw the classic ones in there because people will gravitate towards the classic ones. But I see your Bart Gunn. I see what you were doing there. I appreciate that. But there it is. There it is. Let's jump into the previews now. We've got all those other matches out of the way. Let's talk some team preview action. 2 debuting teams this week. We have Team Double Jeopardy, the team of Sam Levine and Brad Rutter, versus Team Tough Beats, Harry Nemiroff and Jonathan Voitko. Now, Paul, we don't know much about these teams. They never competed together. What if I told you that Brad Rutter is the all-time money winner in Jeopardy? What does that do for you?
They win. Honestly, I mean, if he's the biggest all-time money winner on Jeopardy, that must mean he knows anything and everything, not just movies. So we'll see. I mean, but thinking again on that side of things, yeah, they might know a lot. And he must know a bunch of stuff regarding fruits that begin with Q and countries that end in Stan in the 1870s. So, I don't know, but I've not seen very many pop culture categories on Jeopardy as much as those other historical type of questions. So who knows? But if you've won all that money on Jeopardy, you've got to know a lot of stuff outside of just all that historical information. So I just feel they have the edge because of that.
And we're not talking I'm not talking sports Jeopardy. I'm not talking rock and roll Jeopardy. I mean Jeopardy. I mean Alex Trebek Jeopardy. So that in itself. Not only do you have that going on, you have Sam Levine as well, one of the strongest competitors in the Schmoedown. So, to me, right there, it's just like God love Perry and Jonathan. I want to see how they do as a team. I'm especially interested to see how Perry does with her knowledge of different genres, and she's a writer and she's on all these shows now. So Perry's going to have a lot of knowledge as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that turns out. Jonathan is in the Collider Studios all the time. Jonathan picks up on all this knowledge as well. He has to be well-versed. So it's going to be an interesting matchup, but I don't see any way that they beat this team that I just look at on paper and I'm like, oh, Bibiani and Andreyko may have a hard time against this team. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable team. I'll just give my prediction right now. I'm taking Sam Levine and Brad Rutter, Double Jeopardy, knockout. right there, knockout.
Yeah,
So,
and props to have Perry in there. I'm on the Perry train. I mean, happy belated to you, Perry, if you're listening. So I'm really happy to see that you got another female in there, but it may not be a very wonderful, glorious debut.
not at all. Not at all. And, gotta love Perry, love the bangs, big fan, love Collider Nightmares, but I just don't see I just don't see it going any other way, Paul. I really don't. That aside, let's jump into the singles preview this week. We have the aforementioned Bob Finstock on his road to redemption, or new road, or road to perdition, or whatever road he's taken, versus, once again, the aforementioned Sam Levine. Now, on paper, this looks like a blowout. Sam Levine, like I said, very strong competitor. Bob Finstock, not so much. But it's a new attitude. So, Paul, take me through the process. Who are you feeling in Sam Levine versus this new Bob Finstock?
Well, you heard the interview. He is not a strong competitor in movie trivia. He admitted it himself. And he also admitted, however, the other side of things, he's not honestly, he's going to, pave his own path and be his own man. So maybe being on his own, he won't have anybody to rely on. He just rely on himself. But I don't see this as something that Finstock's really gonna shine in. I really don't. He said it. He said it himself. He doesn't watch movies all the time. He's not always going to movie premieres. He's not always hanging out with the movie studios and movie types and going on set visits and writing about them and reading about them and canon and this and that. And so I almost kind of see, in a way, the fall of Bob Finstock slowly starting. And so I don't see Finstock really bouncing back at all. I see Sam Levine doing it. I don't know if it's a technical knockout. We've been seeing a lot of matches going down to the last question. So I can't put that out of the realm of possibilities, because he did, in fact, beat Schnepp. And I believe it was down to that last round again. So I don't see it's going to be a handling. It's going to be the spin of the wheel. I think we'll see maybe a 2-point win by Sam Levine.
Wow, that close. Wow. Did I like talking to Bob Finstock? Absolutely. Do I believe half of the things he was saying and half of the predictions that he was giving? Not really. But it's interesting to see this character turn for him. I'm super into it. But Sam Levine is no joke. Sam Levine has been one of the best competitors. I said it now like the 15th time I've said that. I think it's going to play out like it is on paper. I think Sam Levine is so much better than Finstock that it's not even going to be a match. I like Sam Levine. I like him by TKO in this matchup. I'm sorry to say, as much as I'm digging this new and improved Bob Finstock, I got to stick with Sam Levine. I think he's a little bit, jolted since he was kicked out of the tournament so early by Ellis. I think he's got something to prove, and I think he's going to prove it by beating Bob Finstock. I really do. It's just my feelings.
Yeah.
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Schmoedown Rundown. Wow, that was quick. We really enjoyed having Mr. Bob Finstock on the show, because I thought we were going to get Tom Dagnino. We did not. We got Bob Finstock, so it's great to talk to him. Hopefully we'll have him somewhere again down the road, and best of luck to him against Sam Levine this coming Friday. My name is Aaron. You can find me on the Twitter at ATTitanium, as always, and always posting in the Schmoeville Facebook group, the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Facebook group, and just talking to general Schmoevillians that aren't in the Facebook group but still love this stuff anyway. Love talking to you guys. And Paul, where can you be found, sir?
Hey, I'll be on the same location, Schmoeville on Facebook. Just find me at Paul Wolf. That's spelled WULF. You'll find me on Twitter at the Mr. Wolf, and on Instagram at the Mr. Wolf 12.
There you have it. there you have it. Once again, I want to thank everybody that listened to this show and has downloaded it and has supported this show. I really, really appreciate it. This show has grown by leaps and bounds, and we were with episode 1. Now we're on episode 10, and we're going to keep it going. We have some major plans for the future that just kind of happened yesterday. We got some big news. So not ready to tell you about it yet, but it's something possibly down the road that could be huge for the show. So we're really super excited about that. Don't forget to put a pin in it. Live special coming for the Schmoedown Spectacular. It's going to be me. It's going to be Paul. We're going to have some guests possibly. Who knows? Maybe Bob Finstock will show up there. Maybe Mark Riley. Who knows who will show up for us. Once again, really appreciate you guys listening, and we'll catch you next week, same time, same channel. We're out.
Peace.